Hi there, this is David and welcome to the Top 10 Worst Sequences in JRPGs Part 2. The first part was so popular that I thought that it deserved a second part, so here we are. Because as anybody who knows who's played a bunch of JRPGs, sometimes there are just entire sequences that you dread. Those areas in classic games that you know that you have to go through, but you just can't stand them, so you have to grin and bear it to get to the good stuff. We're not just talking about like one dungeon here, but entire areas that can take hours to get through. So let's go ahead and get started. Number 10. Evil Jessica of Dragon Quest VIII. I love this game. It's a classic and for good reason, but it's just inexcusable in any game where you have a set party, but then the story just arbitrarily decides to take one of those party members away without giving you back a replacement. I hate this shit. Jessica's your black mage, your random encounter killer, your crowd control, and your backup healer. She really does play a pivotal role on your team. So for her to get cursed, leave, and then you have to chase her all over God's green earth, it just sucks. Thankfully, it's not for all that long, pretty much just the Arcadia region and Rhydon's Tower, but still, the memory of this awful time haunts me to this day. Number 9. The first half of Disc 3 in Final Fantasy IX. Garnet can't concentrate! Bitch, you'd better get it together before I give you something else to concentrate on. Not only is Garnet completely useless, yet ridiculously mandatory for this portion of the game, but Zydan goes from being a happy-go-lucky little monkey to a depressed shell of his former self. Normally, I can deal with the story if it doesn't affect the gameplay, but this entire portion is just terrible. Not only is Garnet just useless, but then you're forced to split your party up so they can tackle the Desert Palace and Olivert with its sealed magic. It's just completely terrible. And it doesn't help that you have that mandatory card game to deal with before all this other crap happens too. Number 8. Gothica in Secret of Evermore. After having Let's Played Secret of Evermore pretty recently, I can say with confidence that Gothica is absolutely my least favorite area. There's just so much wrong with it. First, you're separated from the boy, and you're forced to use the dog for a good portion of the place, which normally wouldn't be so bad. But then they put you inside of this maze, this god-awful maze of vents and invisible shafts, and you're giving no guidance on what to do or where to go, and then you have to find a key as well as the exit. I mean, look at the map for this place. It's ridiculous. Then there's like the most broken boss in the entire game to top it all off. If you don't have a fully charged spear or plenty of alchemy ingredients, you might as well just reset the game because you can only be attacked at range. Number 7. All of the Cloisters of Trials in Final Fantasy X. I know that many of you think that this just might be the best game ever, but I don't, and these stupid cloisters are a big reason for that. They're all over the place, they absolutely kill the momentum of the game, and they really serve like no purpose. I'm out there killing fiends, exploring beautiful environments, gaining skills in the spirit grid, and learning more about my characters, when all of a sudden I get to a new town, and that feeling of dread comes over me. Oh no. I have to go and spend an hour dicking around in a stupid fetch quest puzzle. I don't want to do it, there's no rewards for it, it's all dark and stupid, and it just makes me want to turn off the game rather than put up with it. Number 6. The introduction of Suikoden 5. This really is like the longest introduction ever. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore the game. In fact, it's my favorite in the entire series. But this introduction really needs to be trimmed down. It's like 10 hours long, for God's sakes. All you do is run back and forth between towns, wandering all over the world map, only be greeted with like 30 minutes of story at every single location. Then it's back to Felina. My first time playing the game, I really didn't mind it so much because I was just enamored by it all. But after having played through it again, I made a save right after the introduction so I would never have to go through it ever again. Just give me my castle and let me go where I want to go. I'm the crown prince, after all. Number 5. The Lynx Scenario of Chrono Cross. Spoiler alert, if you haven't played this game, skip this part. Here we go. The first time I played through this game, I actually found the sequence to be quite shocking and rather cool. It's nice to get a glimpse behind the scenes and really get to the bottom of the villain's motivations. However, all the subsequent times that I played, I wish I could just skip the whole thing. Your entire identity is stripped from you, as is your party. And the already excruciatingly slow battles take even longer, because like nothing is weak to the dark element, whereas like everything is weak to light. It's just such a drag. And then you have to beat that asshole Miguel to get back to your rightful body. And even though he might look like some one-piece pushover, he's nothing to sneeze at. Number 4. The second half of Bravely Default. I've bitched about this sequence before, but it bears repeating. If there's one surefire way to ruin a good game, it's to punish your players by making them do the same things over and over and over again. And we're not talking about just some small backtracking here and there. You literally have to redo all 4 of the crystal dungeons and beat their bosses 5 whole times. I can understand the developers forcing you to go through them once for like extra story purposes, but 5? What the hell? It feels like a total slap in the face, and it completely ruined the game for me. I beat the game once, but I'll be damned if I'm ever going to go through that again. Thank God they learned their lesson and the subsequent games in the series don't pull this artificial length bullshit. Number 3. The introduction of Dragon Quest VII. You know how I said that I made a save at the end of the introduction of Suikoden 5? Well, I did the exact same thing here. The introduction of Dragon Quest VII is inexcusably long, but what makes it worse is that the developers seem to know that it was long, and they actually kind of use it as a selling point. In fact, they probably purposely drew it out to be as long as humanly possible. As a major Dragon Quest fan, I remember being thrilled when this was announced, and I read up on it as much as I could. But every single article talked about the ridiculous introduction as if it was some sort of artistic interpretation. But let me tell you, I interpreted it as being boring as hell. Give me the battles, the dungeons, and those sweet, sweet job classes. Number 2. The Laguna Sequences of Final Fantasy VIII. I've let it be known time and again that I absolutely despise this game. Its stupid characters and high school drama is boring from beginning to end, but it's only made so much worse when you have to go through all the Laguna crap. It's just so random. You'll like fall asleep all of a sudden, become Laguna, drink, bitch, and moan over some girl, then run around fighting some completely pointless random battles, which really just waste all your time, because those 3 characters are only used in these sequences. And as the cherry on top, it completely messes up your carefully placed junctioning. It's all just so tedious and annoying, and it happens all the time. And number 1, the Minigames of Breath of Fire 3. Similar to the Cloisters of Trials and Laguna Sequences that we've previously seen, the sheer amount of shoehorned-in minigames just ruins this otherwise beautiful game. The Breath of Fire series is one of my favorites, but this entry is towards the bottom of my list simply because of how many god-awful and just plain unfun minigames they throw at you like every 5 seconds. Breath of Fire 4 is just as guilty as this entry is, but at least there they were somewhat polished, but here it's just excruciating. From the ship with its ridiculous controls, to the lighthouse, to the laser beams of Momo's tower, to making Shizu or pulling ropes or powering up that wimp Bade, they all just suck. Well, that's it for the top 10 worst sequences in JRPGs Part 2. What are your worst sequences in your favorite games? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video and what I do here on the channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon for exclusive videos and early access to my new top 10s. The link to it can be found in the video description. This has been David. If you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.